I found out two women were arguing over me because I woke up at 2:13 in the morning needing water and heard my name through the kitchen wall. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Our apartment was usually quiet after midnight. 3 bedrooms, cheap carpet, old cabinets, a living room couch that had survived more group projects than any couch should have to survive. I shared the place with two women from my university, Emily and Rachel, and until that night, I thought we had a simple arrangement. We paid rent. We respected each other's space. We complained about professors. We ate whatever was left in the fridge and pretended we had real meal plans. Then I heard Emily say, "You can't just call dibs on him, Rachel." I stopped in the hallway. Rachel's voice came back low and sharp. "That's not what I'm doing. Oh, please. You've been looking at him like he hung the moon since sophomore year." My hand was on the cabinet handle. I didn't move. Rachel snapped, "Keep your voice down." Emily laughed, not loud, but mean enough. Why? Afraid he'll hear the truth? There are moments when a smarter man turns around, goes back to bed, and lets people keep their private conversations private. I was not that smart man. I stayed there, barefoot on cold kitchen tile, listening like a complete idiot. Rachel said, "You don't even like him." I never said that. "You've ignored him for 2 years. I changed my mind." Rachel gave a dry little laugh. Convenient. Emily's voice softened, and that was the part that got me. Maybe I was scared, okay? Maybe I didn't realize what I felt until recently. That sentence hit me right in the weak spot. Because Emily had been my mistake before she ever became my girlfriend. She was the girl I'd wanted quietly since we all moved in together. Pretty, confident, impossible to read. She smiled at me when she needed a ride, borrowed my notes like she was doing me a favor, and made me feel lucky whenever she remembered I existed. Rachel was different. Rachel made coffee before 8 a.m. and judged everyone's life choices by how they loaded the dishwasher. She was direct, funny when she was annoyed, and too good at seeing through people. I liked her. I trusted her. But Emily was the one I had built a private fantasy around, because apparently my brain had a department dedicated to bad investments. Rachel said something then, but she dropped her voice, and I only caught part of it. "Not about him. It's about what you found out." Emily answered fast. "That's ridiculous. You asked me 3 times about his parents. So? You looked up his last name." My stomach tightened, but not enough. Not enough to make me stay. Not enough to make me listen to the rest, because Emily cut her off with, "I care about him. I do." I just didn't know how to say it. That was all I needed to hear, because I was 24, proud of my common sense, and apparently still dumb enough to accept a miracle if it wore lip gloss and said my name softly. I went back to my room and closed the door without getting water. In the morning, Emily was at the counter, wearing that practiced, sleepy look some women make seem effortless. Rachel sat at the table with a mug in both hands, staring into it like the coffee had personally let her down. "Morning," Emily said. "Morning," I answered. Rachel looked up. Her eyes moved over my face once. She knew, I don't know how, but she knew I had heard something. "You sleep okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Fine." She took a slow sip. "Sure." Emily smiled at me over her shoulder. "You have class at 10, right?" 11. "Oh. Then you have time. For what?" She tilted her head. "Breakfast. I made eggs." Emily had never made breakfast for the apartment in her life. She had once microwaved oatmeal without water and blamed the bowl. Rachel set her mug down a little too hard. "That's new." Emily didn't look at her. People grow, Rachel. Apparently overnight. I should have listened to the tone. I should have noticed Rachel's jaw tighten when Emily slid a plate toward me. I should have wondered why Emily suddenly knew my schedule and cared whether I ate. Instead, I sat down. "Thanks," I said. Emily leaned against the counter. "You looked tired yesterday," Rachel muttered. "He looked normal." Emily ignored her. "You've been working too much." I had 2 campus jobs I didn't need, and 1 scholarship I didn't technically need either. That was the point. My family had money. Serious money. Not private Iceland money, but enough that people changed when they found out. My father had built a boring company that made a lot of people very comfortable. I had spent my college life hiding that part because I wanted one clean place where people liked me before they calculated me. At school, I was just Ethan Cole, the guy who drove an old truck, wore plain shirts, split rent, and kept his business quiet. Rachel knew I didn't talk about my family much. She never pushed. Emily started pushing that morning with a smile. "So," she said, "are your parents coming for graduation?" "Maybe. What do they do again?" Rachel's eyes lifted. I shrugged. "My dad works in operations. My mom does nonprofit stuff." Emily's smile held. "That's vague. That's accurate." Rachel looked at me for half a second, and there was something in her expression I didn't want to read. Emily moved closer and rested her hand on the back of my chair. "You're mysterious, Ethan." "No, I'm just undercaffeinated." Rachel made a sound that might have been a laugh if she weren't so irritated. Emily's hand stayed on my chair. That was how it started. Not with a dramatic confession. Not with some big kiss in the rain. Just breakfast, a few careful questions, and me choosing to believe the version of events that made my ego feel best. Over the next week, Emily became exactly the woman I had been hoping she secretly was. She sat beside me on the couch while I studied. She texted me from across campus to ask if I wanted coffee. She laughed at my jokes before they earned it, which should have been my first clue because I am funny. But I am not that funny. Rachel watched all of it like a woman watching a slow-motion accident and being told not to interfere because the driver was enjoying himself. One Thursday afternoon, I came home from a lab and found Emily in the living room with travel tabs open on her laptop. "Come here," she said. I dropped my backpack by the door. "That sounds like I'm in trouble." "Not yet. That's comforting." She turned the screen toward me. Spring break. I stared at the page. That's 5 months away. Planning ahead is mature. Planning ahead for people who have actual money is expensive. She smiled. "You always act like money scares you." "It doesn't scare me. I just don't worship it." Rachel came out of the hallway holding a laundry basket. Careful. That sentence has ruined many first dates. Emily glanced at her. "We're not on a first date." Rachel looked at me. "No. You skipped several steps, apparently." I rubbed the back of my neck. "Rachel." "What?" Emily shut the laptop halfway. "You've been weird all week." Rachel hugged the basket against her side. "I live here too. I'm allowed to notice when the apartment becomes a rehearsal dinner." Emily laughed. "You're jealous." The room went still. Rachel's face changed, but only for a second. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Use something real as a toy." Emily stood up. "Maybe you should stop acting like you own him." "I don't own anyone." Could fooled me. I stepped between them before it got worse. "Enough." Both of them looked at me. I turned to Rachel. "Can we not?" She stared at me for a moment, then nodded once. "Sure." She walked back down the hall. Emily slipped her arm around mine like a woman claiming a seat she had reserved. "She'll get over it." I looked toward Rachel's closed door. Something felt wrong. Then Emily squeezed my arm and said, "So, beach or mountains?" And like an idiot, I let the wrong feeling win. "Beach," I said. "Mountains are for people who own expensive jackets." She laughed and kissed my cheek. I told myself the discomfort was guilt. Rachel had liked me, and I hadn't known. Now things were awkward. That was all. Adult life came with awkwardness. You dealt with it and moved on. But Emily kept moving faster. 2 weeks after that night in the kitchen, she started calling me babe in front of people. She started leaving her things in my room. She wanted to meet my parents. She wanted to know where my family spent holidays. She asked whether my old truck was sentimental or just temporary. One night she lay across my bed while I read for class and said, "You ever think about getting married young?" I lowered my book. "I think about passing corporate finance." "I'm serious." "That's upsetting." She rolled her eyes. "You joke when you don't want to answer." "I joke when someone asks me about marriage 3 weeks into dating. 3 weeks officially." "Ah, my mistake. Very stable timeline." She propped herself up on one elbow. "I just know what I want." "And what's that?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "A future that isn't small." I looked at her then. Really looked. There was nothing wrong with ambition. I had grown up around ambitious people, but the way she said it made me feel like I was not a man in the sentence. I was an entry point. Then she softened, slid closer, and touched my wrist. Don't make that face. I mean with you. That should have fixed it. It almost did. When you get what you wanted for a long time, you become very talented at explaining away the parts that don't fit. I told myself she was excited. I told myself I was cautious because of my family. I told myself Rachel's silence made me paranoid. Rachel had pulled away from both of us. She stopped joining our late-night movie arguments. She stopped making those sarcastic comments from the kitchen when I burned toast. She left early, came home late, and answered me politely, which was somehow worse than anger. One Friday, I found her on the back steps behind our building, eating takeout from a paper container. "You hiding?" I asked. She didn't look up. "Eating." "On concrete?" "The concrete and I have an understanding." I sat 2 steps above her. "You've been avoiding me." She stabbed her fork into the food. "Nothing gets past you." "Rachel, what do you want, Ethan?" That hit harder than it should have. "I want things to be normal." She turned then. "Normal?" "Yeah. You started dating Emily after years of acting like a golden retriever whenever she smiled at you, and now you want normal?" "I was not that bad." She gave me a look. "Fine," I said. "I had moments. You had seasons." I almost laughed. She didn't. I leaned my elbows on my knees. "I don't want to lose the friendship." Rachel set the container beside her. "Then don't ask me to clap for something I know is wrong." There it was again. That pressure. That thing I kept stepping around. "What is that supposed to mean?" She looked away. "You wouldn't believe me. Try me." "No." "Why not?" "Because you already picked the answer you liked." I got defensive because the truth has terrible manners. "That's not fair." She stood up. "No, fair would have been you listening to the whole conversation." Everything stopped. She realized what she had said as soon as she said it. I stood too. "What?" Rachel's mouth tightened. I took 1 step down. "What did you just say?" She looked at me, anger rising fast. "You heard us?" "I heard enough." "No, Ethan. You heard exactly enough to make the worst possible decision." I felt heat climb up my neck. "I didn't mean to listen." "But you did." "I heard Emily say she cared about me." Rachel laughed once, hard and humorless. "Of course you did. That was the shiny part." "Rachel, just say it." She crossed her arms. "Fine. You want the part you missed?" "Emily found out about your family." My face went still. "What?" "She didn't know for sure. She suspected. Then she saw your mother's name on a letter you left by the mail table. She looked it up. She connected it. After that, suddenly she had feelings." I stared at her. Rachel continued, words coming faster now. "That night, I told her to leave you alone. She told me I was being dramatic. She said you were sweet, useful, and not exactly hard to guide. I didn't speak. She said you were probably going to inherit enough to make student loans a joke. She said if she played it right, she'd never have to worry about her future." My jaw tightened. Rachel's eyes were bright, but she didn't cry. "Then you walked away before hearing me tell her she was using you." I looked toward the building like Emily might appear in the window. "She told you she cared about me," I said. "She told me she could make you believe it." That one landed clean. I sat back down on the step because standing felt too dramatic, and I didn't trust myself to say anything useful. Rachel watched me for a few seconds. Then she said quieter, "I'm sorry." I looked up. "Why are you sorry?" "Because this is going to hurt." There was no satisfaction in her face, no victory. "No, I told you so." Just anger on my behalf and something else she was trying hard to bury. I let out a short laugh with no humor. "Well, congratulations to me. I finally got the girl." Rachel's expression softened despite herself. "Ethan." "No, it's impressive. Took me 2 years to become an opportunity." "You're not stupid. I am currently accepting nominations." She sat beside me again, leaving space between us. "You wanted something to be true. That's a polite way to say stupid. It's a human way." I looked at her. "Why didn't you tell me before?" She held my gaze. "Would you have believed me?" I wanted to say yes, I didn't. Rachel nodded like my silence was the answer. "Exactly. Emily left the next morning for a week at her parents' place. She kissed me at the door, told me to miss her, and reminded me twice that we should talk about visiting my family after she got back. I stood there, smiling like a man with a cracked tooth. After the door closed, Rachel came out of the kitchen. "You okay?" she asked. "No." "Good." Honest answer. I looked at her. "Do you have class?" "In an hour. Can we talk tonight?" She studied me. About what? About everything I should have listened to before. Her face guarded itself. "I'm not your cleanup crew, Ethan. I know. I'm not here to make you feel less guilty. I know that too. Do you?" I nodded. "Yes." She picked up her bag. "Tonight. But if you lie to yourself, I'm leaving the room. That's fair. It's generous." "It is." She almost smiled. "Don't get used to it." That night we sat at the kitchen table until after midnight. No dramatic lighting, no perfect soundtrack, no soft focus nonsense. Just two tired people, cold coffee, and the ugly little truth sitting between us. I told her about my family. Not everything, but more than I had told anyone at school. "My dad's company did well," I said. "Very well. People hear the name and they start acting like I'm either a lottery ticket or a liar pretending not to be one." Rachel turned her mug slowly. "So you hid it?" "Yeah. From everyone?" "Mostly. From me." I looked at her. Yes, that hurt her. I saw it. She nodded anyway. "Okay. I didn't want it to change how people treated me. So you let people know a version of you, but not the whole person. That sounds worse when you say it. It is worse when I say it. I deserve that." "A little." I leaned back. "You really don't soften the landing, do you? No floors exist for a reason." I laughed because I needed to. She smiled into her mug. Then she said, "I liked you before I knew anything. I know." "No, you don't." She looked up. "I liked you when your truck died in the parking lot, and you still helped that freshman carry boxes because his dad had a bad knee. That was nothing. It wasn't to him." I didn't answer. She continued, "I liked you when you fixed the sink and pretended it was easy, even though you watched 3 videos and flooded the cabinet. Low point for my masculine image. You had your moment. I used a wrench. You used confidence. The wrench was decorative." I smiled. Then the silence changed. I said, "I'm sorry I didn't see you." Rachel's fingers tightened around the mug. "Don't." "Why?" "Because I don't want to be the woman you notice because another one disappointed you." That was the first time she said the thing out loud. Not the whole thing, but enough. I leaned forward. "You're not. You don't know that yet." She was right. That annoyed me because being wrong had become a hobby that week. "I know I treated you like background," I said. "And I hate that. You didn't treat me badly." That's a low bar. It's a common one. I looked at her then. She was attractive. I had known that in some vague roommate way, the way you know someone is good-looking, but put the thought in a locked drawer because your life works better that way. But sitting across from me, tired, honest, refusing to perform kindness for my comfort, she hit me differently. Not as an idea, as a woman. Rachel noticed me noticing and looked down first. "Don't do that," she said. "What?" "Look at me like you just found a missing page." I breathed out. "I'm trying not to be an idiot twice in 1 week. Strong start would be not making any big declarations before breakfast." Noted. She stood and took both mugs to the sink. Good. I stood too, mostly because I didn't want the conversation to end. "Rachel." She turned. "Yeah? Thank you for telling me. I didn't do it for you." "I know." She leaned against the counter. "I did it because she was going to hurt you, and apparently I'm still foolish enough to care." That doesn't sound foolish. It does from this side. I wanted to step closer. I didn't. That was the first smart thing I did in a while. Instead I said, "I'm going to end it when Emily gets back." Rachel's face changed. "Because of what I told you?" "Because of what she did. Make sure you know the difference." "I do." She studied me a long time, then she nodded. "Okay, the week without Emily should have been quiet. Instead, it was the loudest week of my life in the ways that mattered." Rachel and I didn't start by pretending we were some grand romantic destiny. We started with breakfast, because neither of us wanted to sit alone with our thoughts. She made coffee. I burned toast. She looked at the smoke coming from the toaster and said, "You're a threat to carbohydrates. I have many talents. Name 2, parallel parking." That's 1. Knowing when not to answer. She laughed, and the sound loosened something in the room. We went to class. We came back. We cooked simple dinners because neither of us wanted takeout every night. We studied at the table. We argued about music, laundry, professors, whether my truck sounded reliable or medically unstable. On Tuesday evening, she found me scrolling apartment listings. She leaned over my shoulder. "What are you doing looking for a place? For you, for me, maybe for—" I stopped. She straightened. "Careful." "I know." "Do you?" "Yes." Her eyes narrowed. "Because moving out is smart. Moving from Emily to me like you're changing checkout lanes is not smart." I closed the laptop, halfway. "That's not what this is." "Then say what it is." I turned in the chair. "I don't want to live in a house where I have to perform normal with someone who tried to use me. That part makes sense. And I don't want to leave you here alone with her. I can handle Emily. I know you can." "That's not the point." "What is?" "I care what happens to you." The room got quiet. Rachel looked toward the kitchen, then back at me. "You didn't get to that sentence slowly." "No. That scares me." "Me too." She sat on the edge of the table. "I need you to understand something." "Okay. I had feelings for you before this mess. Real ones. Embarrassingly patient ones. I'm listening. If I do this, if I even think about doing this, I can't be a consolation prize. You won't be. Don't answer fast." I shut my mouth. She looked tired then, but steady. "I watched you look at Emily like she was the door to the life you wanted. I can't be the hallway you notice after the door hits you. That one hurt because it was fair." I said, "I can't erase what I did. No. But I can tell you this. With Emily, I liked the idea that maybe I had finally been chosen by the person who always kept me guessing. With you, I don't feel chosen. I feel seen. It's different. It's harder to hide in." Rachel's expression shifted. "That was dangerously close to a good answer. I'll try to disappoint you later. Please don't make that your brand. We didn't kiss that night." We came close enough that both of us noticed, and then Rachel stepped back. "Not yet," she said. I nodded. "Okay. You're allowed to be annoyed." "I'm not." "You're allowed to want to." "I do." Her cheeks colored slightly, but she held her ground. "Then respect it." "I am." She watched me for another second, like she was checking for resentment. She didn't find any. "Good," she said. On Wednesday, she sent me a listing between classes, 2 bedrooms. Reasonable rent. 10 minutes from campus. Available immediately because the previous tenants had transferred. Her text said, "Practical. Not romantic. Don't be weird." I replied, "Nothing says romance like shared utility bills." She wrote, "I regret everything." We toured the place Friday afternoon. The landlord was a woman named Mrs. Alvarez who had no patience for college nonsense. She looked us both over and said, "Couple?" Rachel answered before I did, "Complicated." Mrs. Alvarez raised one eyebrow. "That means yes but nervous." I coughed. Rachel stared at the floor. Mrs. Alvarez handed us the forms. "Rent is due first of the month. No parties. No holes in the walls. If you break something, tell me before it becomes expensive." I said, "That sounds fair." She pointed at me. "You look like the type who says sounds fair before asking your parents." Rachel stiffened slightly. I met Mrs. Alvarez's stare. "I pay my own rent." "Good," she said. "Then you'll read the lease." In the car afterward, Rachel was quiet. I started the truck. "Say it." "I don't like that," I reacted. "To what?" "When she mentioned your parents, that's not your fault." I nodded. "It still bothered me." I nodded. "It bothers me, too." She looked out the windshield. "I don't want your money in the room with us all the time." Then we set rules. "What rules?" "We split rent. We split utilities. No gifts that make things uneven. No using money to fix emotional problems." She looked at me. "You've thought about this since I was 16. And if your family offers help, I say no unless we both agree. And if you say no, it's no." Rachel's hand rested near the gear shift. She didn't touch me, but she didn't move away either. "That helps," she said. "Good." She turned her head. "You know this doesn't mean I'm ready to call us anything. I know, even if we sign. I know, even if I want to. That last part came out quieter. I looked at her. Rachel. She shook her head once. Drive, Ethan. So I drove. That night, after we signed the papers, we stood in our old kitchen surrounded by boxes we couldn't pack openly yet. Emily was due back Sunday morning. Rachel held a roll of tape. I held a stack of flattened boxes. This is insane, she said. Practical, not romantic. Your words. I hate when people use my own wisdom against me. It's one of my few pleasures. She leaned against the counter. Are you scared? Yes. Of Emily? No. Of what then? I set the boxes down. That I'm rushing because I'm ashamed. Rachel nodded slowly. That's the first honest answer. I don't want to hurt you. Then don't use me to punish her. I'm not. Don't use me to prove you're smarter now. I won't. Don't touch me because you're angry at yourself. I stepped closer, but stopped with space between us. I want to touch you because I want you, and because when I'm with you, I don't feel like I have to guard every word. That doesn't mean I'm not carrying a mess. It means I'm not pretending I'm clean. Rachel looked at me for a long second. Then she put the tape down. Come here, she said. I did. The kiss was not dramatic. It was careful, almost awkward at first, because both of us knew it changed things. Her hand touched my chest, not pulling, just checking that I was there. I kept my hands at her waist and gave her room to step back. She didn't. When she finally pulled away, she looked irritated. I whispered, Bad? No. Then why do you look mad? Because now I have to think about that all night. I smiled. My condolences. Don't get smug. Too late. She pushed my shoulder lightly, but she was smiling. That was the moment we became something. Not because of the kiss by itself, but because after it, neither of us tried to pretend it was an accident. By Sunday morning, most of what mattered was already moved to the new apartment. We left enough behind to look normal. Clothes in closets. Books on shelves. Dishes in cabinets. It felt sneaky, but it was clean. No lies about what we were doing, just timing. Emily came home at 10 with a suitcase, sunglasses on her head, and the smile of someone expecting to be welcomed back into a life she had arranged. Babe? She called from the hallway. You home? I stepped out of the kitchen. Rachel stood behind me near the table. Emily's smile faltered when she saw Rachel, then returned. Oh, group meeting, I said. We need to talk. Emily dropped her keys in the bowl. That sounds serious. Did you miss me that much? No. Her face changed. Excuse me, I'm ending this. The apartment went quiet. Emily looked from me to Rachel. Is this a joke? No. She laughed once. Okay. What did she say? Rachel didn't move, I answered. Enough. Emily's eyes sharpened. You're really going to believe her? I believe what fits the facts. What facts? The questions about my parents. The sudden interest. The marriage talk. The future that wasn't effulsence. Her mouth tightened. I continued. I heard part of that conversation before. I missed the important half. That was my mistake. Emily looked at Rachel. You told him? Rachel said. You told on yourself. Emily's sweet expression dropped so fast I almost respected the efficiency. You pathetic little. Careful. I cut in. She turned on me. No, you don't get to act noble. You wanted me. You chased me with your eyes for years. Then I finally give you a chance, and you run to her because she cried first? Rachel flinched, but lifted her chin. I said, don't talk about her like that. Emily laughed. Oh, now you're protective? That's adorable. She waited around like a spare tire and you picked her up when you got a flat. I took one step forward. My voice stayed even. You can be angry. You don't get to insult her in front of me. Or what? Or every person you've been performing for gets the version of you we just heard. Her eyes narrowed. You wouldn't. I don't want drama. But I'm not afraid of truth. Emily looked at Rachel again. You think you won? He'll get bored when he remembers he wanted me first. Rachel's voice came out steady. Maybe. But at least if he leaves me, it won't be because I tried to price him. Emily's face went pale with anger. I picked up my keys. We're moving out. What? Rachel grabbed her bag from the chair. Emily stared at us. You planned this? Yes, I said. You can't just leave. I can. Watch closely. It's educational. Emily stepped into the hallway, blocking the door. Ethan, stop. Don't be stupid. I was stupid 3 weeks ago. I'm improving. Her voice softened suddenly. Baby, come on. We can talk. Rachel went still beside me. There it was. The mask again. The soft voice. The emergency version. I shook my head. No. Emily reached for my arm. I stepped back. Don't, I said. Her hand dropped. I opened the door. Rachel walked out first. I followed with my duffel over one shoulder and the last box under my arm. Emily shouted after us, "You're going to regret this." I looked back once. I already did. That's why I'm leaving. Then I closed the door. The new apartment felt too quiet when we got there. Not peaceful yet. Just quiet in the way a room gets after a hard conversation follows you home and stands in the corner. Rachel set her bag down. "Are you okay?" "No," she nodded. "Me neither." I put the box on the counter. "Still want to be here?" She looked at me for a while. "Yes," she said, "but I'm scared. That makes two of us. I don't want us to become a reaction. We won't. You can't promise that, no, but I can show up every day and not hide behind easy answers." Rachel walked closer. "And if I need time, you get time. If I get angry later, I listen. If I bring up Emily, I deserve some of that. Not all of it." She nodded, then touched my hand. "I want this, Ethan. I just don't want to disappear inside it." "You won't." That night we unpacked plates and argued about where mugs belonged because apparently romance does not protect a man from cabinet politics. For 3 days, life almost felt normal. Then campus found out. Emily didn't handle losing control quietly. She didn't come after us with anything illegal or dramatic. She did something more realistic. She talked. By Wednesday, people in my finance seminar were looking at me like I'd walked in wearing a confession taped to my shirt. By Thursday, Rachel's study group had gone quiet when she sat down. By Friday, a guy named Tyler from my project team leaned over before class and said, "Man, is it true you dumped Emily for Rachel while all three of you live together?" I stared at him. "Good morning to you too." He shrugged. "I'm just asking." "No, you're repeating." "Emily," said Rachel, went behind her back. "Emily says a lot." Tyler held up both hands. "Don't shoot the messenger." I never understood why messengers say that after volunteering. He looked uncomfortable and turned away. Rachel got it worse. That afternoon she came home and dropped her bag by the door without a word. I was at the table with notes spread out, but I knew from her face that something had happened. "Who?" I asked. She gave a small laugh. "That obvious?" "Yes." She sat down across from me. "Mara and Jess. From your lab?" "Yeah. They asked if I was proud of myself." My chest tightened. "What did you say?" "I asked if they wanted the truth or the version with better lighting." Despite everything, I smiled. "That's my line. I improved it." "Good." Her smile faded. Then I left. I reached across the table. She looked at my hand, then took it. "I'm sorry," I said. "Don't make every insult your fault. I picked the wrong person first. That part is mine." She squeezed my hand once, and I chose to stay. That part is mine. Over the next week, the rumor got sharper. Emily told people I had led her on, that Rachel had been jealous, that we had been sneaking around while I was with Emily, that I used money to make Rachel feel special, that Rachel had always wanted what wasn't hers. The last one nearly made me laugh, because Emily talking about ownership was rich enough to pay tuition. But Rachel stopped laughing. She still went to class, still studied, still answered people directly when they got bold. But at night, I'd find her sitting on the floor by the couch, scrolling through messages she didn't reply to. One evening I sat beside her. "Give me the phone," I said. "No, Rachel, I'm not a child. I didn't say you were. Then don't manage me." I leaned back against the couch. "Fair." She turned the screen off. "Sorry." "No, you're right." She looked tired. "I hate this. I know. I knew she'd be angry. I didn't think she'd make me feel dirty for loving someone." I hated that sentence. I said, "We need to stop letting her define the story." Rachel looked at me. "And how do we do that? Publicly?" "No. Rachel. No. I'm not standing in the middle of campus while you and Emily turn this into a show. I'm not asking you to perform." "Then what are you asking?" "I'm saying I'm done letting people think you stole something. You didn't. I made a bad choice. I ended it." After that, we made our own choice. She looked away. People don't care about clean timelines. Then they can care about ugly motives. Her eyes came back to mine. You want to tell them about your family. I want to tell enough. That's the thing you hate most. Yes. Don't do it for me if you'll resent me later. I'm doing it because hiding protected the wrong person. She was quiet. I added, you don't have to stand beside me. Her face hardened. Don't insult me. I'm not. If you're going to walk into it, I'm not letting you do it alone. That was Rachel. Afraid, angry, hurt, and still refusing to leave me standing by myself. The chance came the next afternoon in the student center. It wasn't random. Emily wanted an audience, and she got one. She was near the main seating area with Mara, Jess, Tyler, and a few others from our programs. Rachel and I walked in for coffee because we had agreed not to hide. Emily saw us and smiled like she had been waiting. Well, she said loudly enough for the nearby tables to hear. The happy couple. Rachel's shoulders tightened. I touched her hand once, then let go. I looked at Emily. Not here. Oh, now you want privacy? Emily stepped closer. That's funny. You didn't care about privacy when you were sneaking around behind my back. A few people turned. Rachel said, Emily, stop. Emily pointed at her. You don't get to tell me to stop. You were my friend. Rachel's face changed. That one hurt. Not because it was true, but because a broken friendship still leaves a mark. I moved slightly in front of Rachel, not to hide her, just to make it clear who Emily was speaking to now. Say one more thing about her stealing me, I said, and I'll answer it. Emily smiled. Go ahead. So I did. Rachel didn't steal me. I overheard you two arguing one night. I heard you say you cared about me. I believed it because I wanted to. Then Rachel told me the part I missed. Emily's smile faltered. Tyler muttered, What part? I didn't look at him. The part where Emily admitted she knew about my family money. Emily snapped, That's not what happened. I kept my voice calm. You asked about my parents, you searched my last name, you pushed to meet them. You talked about marriage 3 weeks in, you said you wanted a future that wasn't small. Mara looked at Emily. Emily's eyes flashed. You're twisting things. Am I? Yes. I nodded once, then say it clearly. Tell everyone you didn't know about my family before you suddenly decided you had feelings. Emily opened her mouth. Nothing came out. People notice silence when it follows a dare. Rachel stood beside me now. Her hand brushed mine, then stayed there. Emily looked around, realizing the room had shifted. This is ridiculous. He's making me sound like some gold digger. I said, I didn't use that word. No, you just implied it. I repeated your behavior. She turned to the others. You're all seriously believing him? Jess looked uncomfortable. Emily's face hardened. Wow. Rachel finally spoke. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried. You told me he was not hard to guide. You told me if you played it right, you wouldn't have to worry about your future. I asked you to leave him alone. You didn't. Emily stared at her with pure anger. Rachel's hand tightened around mine. And I should have told him sooner, that part is on me. But I didn't take him from you. You never wanted him. You wanted what you thought came with him. Nobody rushed to applaud. Real life doesn't usually do that. People just got quiet in that awkward way that means the entertainment stopped being fun. Emily looked at me one last time. You think she's different? Yes, I said. You're naive. Maybe. But I'm getting better at choosing who gets access to me. Rachel glanced at me, and I could feel her breathing settle. Emily picked up her bag. You deserve each other. I nodded. That's the first honest thing you've said. She left. The room stayed quiet for a few seconds after she was gone. Then conversation started again, lower than before. Mara walked over to Rachel, embarrassed and careful. I'm sorry, she said. Rachel didn't make it easy for her. For believing her or for repeating it, Mara swallowed. Both. Rachel nodded. Okay. Not warm. Not cruel. Just okay. Tyler came up to me near the coffee counter and said, That was rough. I took my cup. That's one word. For what it's worth, man, I didn't know. No, you didn't. He nodded, accepting the hit. Fair. Rachel and I left, without turning it into a victory lap. Outside, she stopped near the steps and let go of my hand. I turned. You okay? She looked at the ground, then at me. I think I am. You were strong in there. I was shaking. You can be both. She breathed out a small laugh. Don't get wise now. It's unsettling. I'll ruin it soon. She stepped closer. No, don't. The look she gave me then was different from the kitchen, different from the apartment, different from every guarded moment before it. She wasn't asking me to prove I wanted her. She had seen me do it. I didn't kiss her there. Not because I didn't want to. Because the whole campus didn't need another episode. But in the truck, after the doors closed, she leaned across the middle and kissed me first. It lasted only a few seconds. Then she sat back and said, "Drive before I become the kind of person who makes poor public choices." I started the engine. "I support your growth. Quiet." Yes, Mom. The rumors didn't vanish overnight. People don't delete a story just because the truth shows up late. But they changed direction. Emily stopped appearing in the places we usually saw her. Then she missed a week of classes. By the next month, we heard she had withdrawn for the semester and moved back home. I didn't celebrate it. I didn't miss her either. She had tried to build a future out of a lie, and when the lie lost its shape, she had nothing solid left in our world to stand on. That was her consequence. I didn't need to add anything to it. Rachel's friendships repaired slowly. Some didn't. She let them go. That was one of the things I came to admire most about her. She could grieve a person and still keep the door closed. As for us, the new apartment became home in the most unglamorous way possible. We bought a used table that wobbled unless you shoved a folded receipt under one leg. Rachel labeled the spice jars because she claimed my seasoning system was vibes and chaos. I fixed the bathroom cabinet and only flooded the floor a little, which she called progress. We fought too. Not screaming fights. Real ones. Hard ones. The first serious one happened because my mother called and asked if Rachel wanted to come to dinner over winter break. I said yes before asking Rachel. Stupid, familiar kind of stupid. Rachel went quiet after I hung up. "What?" I asked. "You answered for me." I looked at the phone, then at her. "I thought you'd want to come." "That's not the point. I know." "Do you?" I set the phone down. "I did the thing, yes. The money in the room thing, yes." I nodded. "I'm sorry." She crossed her arms. "I'm not mad that your mom invited me. I'm mad that you made it easy for your life to absorb mine without asking." That was a sharp sentence, but it was earned. "You're right," I said. "I'll call her back." Rachel blinked. "Now?" "Yes." "And say what?" "That I answered too fast and need to ask you." She stared at me like she was waiting for the catch. I called my mother back. When she answered, I said, "Mom, I messed that up. I need to ask Rachel before confirming dinner." There was a pause. Then my mother said, "Good. Ask her. We'd like to meet her, not draft her." Rachel covered her mouth with one hand, trying not to laugh. After I hung up, she said, "Your mom sounds terrifying." "She is," politely. Rachel smiled. "Ask me." I faced her. "Would you like to have dinner with my parents over break?" You can say no. You can say later. You can say yes and then panic in the car. She thought about it, yes. And maybe the car thing. Reasonable. She stepped closer. "Thank you for correcting it. Thank you for calling it out. That's going to be my job, isn't it?" "One of many. You're also in charge of cabinet law." "Good." The mugs were never going above the plates. Controversial but strong. She kissed me, and that small moment felt better than any fantasy I had built around Emily. Because it was real, it had friction, it had correction. It had both of us still standing there afterward. By graduation, Rachel and I were still together. We didn't become campus royalty. Nobody handed us a clean reputation tied with a ribbon. Some people stayed awkward around us. Some apologized. Some pretended they had never said anything, which is its own special talent. Rachel finished her program with better grades than me and reminded me of that whenever I got too confident. I accepted a job offer in Denver that had nothing to do with my father's company. Rachel got into a graduate program there too, on her own merit, before anyone could make the obvious accusation. We found a small place with better windows and worse parking. My truck finally died 2 weeks before the move. Rachel stood beside me in the parking lot while smoke drifted from under the hood. She patted the fender. He fought bravely. He was a terrible truck. He had character. He had 3 working speakers and emotional problems. Like some men I know. I looked at her. Are you comparing me to a dead truck? Not unfavorably. That's love. She smiled. Yeah, I think it is. I bought a newer car after that. Nothing flashy. Rachel approved because it started every morning and didn't require prayer at intersections. A year later, we had a routine that would have bored anyone looking for drama. Work, classes, groceries, bad movies. Calls with my parents that got easier. After Rachel realized my mother respected direct women, and my father was mostly interested in whether she liked baseball. She did not. He recovered. Sometimes people asked how Rachel and I got together. We usually gave the short version. We were roommates, she'd say. I was dumb, I'd add. She noticed. I improved. That was enough for most people. But the full truth is this. I mistook being wanted for being loved. Emily knew how to aim herself at my weakest place. She gave me the illusion I had been waiting for, and I helped her by ignoring every warning because the lie felt good. Rachel didn't give me an illusion. She gave me the truth, and the truth was uncomfortable, inconvenient, badly timed, and exactly what I needed. She was not the easier choice. She was the honest one. And when I finally chose her, I had to keep choosing her in ways that cost me something. Pride, privacy, comfort, the little hiding places I had built around my name. I'm glad it cost me that, because what I got after was not a fantasy. It was a woman who argued with me about mugs, called me out when I slipped, defended me when it mattered, and kissed me like she had decided fear was not getting the last vote. Emily disappeared from our lives completely. Last I heard, she transferred to another school and started over with people who didn't know the story. Maybe she learned something. Maybe she didn't. That part stopped being mine. Rachel and I still keep a rule from that first year. No half-heard conversations. If something feels wrong, we ask. And whenever I get up at night for water, I actually get the water. What would you have done if you had overheard only half of that conversation? Do you think Rachel was right to wait before trusting Ethan?